What's up, everyone? We're back with the second part of our tutorial, and I'm just going to dive right into this. We're going to tackle this out because we're going to start coding today. I want to get through these slides as quick as possible. We're going to go over environments, interpreters, compilers, and mainly focus on data types, and I'm going to introduce you to the Python standard library. So environments. The environment is literally everything that's on your machine which can affect either the development / testing of your code. So environments can be editors for your code, compilers, interpreters, and we're going to talk on these in these slides. The operating system on your machine is an environment. Libraries installed on your machine is an environment. Programs on your machine and more. Basically everything on your computer is an environment. It's a very broad term. Integrated development environments, in short, IDE. IDEs provide comprehensive facilities to programmers. It consists of a source code editor, build automation tools, and a debugger. You guys are going to be using idle for this tutorial. At least I'm going to suggest to use idle in this tutorial. We'll touch base on that whenever we start to code. So interpreters and compilers. An interpreter translates the program or your code one statement at a time. Compilers, on the other hand, they scan the entire program or the entire code and translates it into machine code all at once. Compilers take a large amount of time to analyze the source code, but the overall execution time is faster than interpreters. Interpreters take less amount of time to analyze the source code, but the overall execution is slower. It's not much slower, but it is slower. For interpreters, there's no. Well, let's not talk about the object code. Just understand that interpreters are memory efficient, and compilers require more memory than interpreters. Python. Python is an interpreted language, and the code is read by the interpreter from top to bottom. Data types. We have integer values, which are simply whole numbers. 5 or -5 are both integer values, or ints for short. Floating point values. These are just decimals, 0.5 or -0.5. Characters. A single letter. I threw a little joke in there. That A in the single letter in the sequence of a single letter is a character. Obviously, it's just a single letter. A string. Sequence of characters. I want you to think of a string as a sequence of characters because in certain programming languages you do not have strings and you have to declare a sequence of characters to enable the manipulation of a string. Examples as hello. Hello is a sequence of HELLO. Boolean or boolean, that's a whole debate itself. Boolean, I call it boolean. Boolean values are simply true or false. That's all it is, true or false. We're going to work a lot with all of this stuff. Now, I want to touch base on, in Python, we don't have to explicitly state the data type. In other languages, such as C++ or perhaps C#, you have to actually explicitly state the data type. That's one of the reasons I picked Python, is so we don't have to do that. We don't have to focus much on syntax. Instead, let's focus more on the concepts of programming. Assigning data types to variables. When we create a data type, we must tell the computer what to reference the data type as. I made a mistake and made this X capital X. You don't want to make all of your variables, you don't want to make every character in your variable a capital letter, because if it's all capital, that declares a constant. We will touch base more on constants in a future tutorial, or perhaps this tutorial, I don't know yet. So x equals 10 is integer, or int for short, data type. X is the reference to 10. So this x is referring to 10. So every time we call this x, it's actually going to be 10 instead of x. We must always declare a reference to a data type to tell the computer where to store the data type. So 10 is the data type, and this is a data type int. And we're going to be referencing x to 10. So another example is hello, a string data type. This is going to be referenced to y. So every time we call y, it's going to equal hello. We're going to get the value of hello. So more on variables. Since code is read from top to bottom, if we declare a variable x after a first declaration, the variable will then be replaced with the value that comes after the first declaration. Example, x equals 10. Then x equals 20. Notice this came after the initial declaration. Thus, x will equal 20 instead of 10 because we redeclared the variable below the initial declaration. The Python standard library. So programming languages associate themselves with a library of code that you can call and use. These are modules that allow us to perform certain functionality that helps us develop our code. If modules sounds confusing, disregard it. This is simply code that we can access that we can't actually see. However, we can locate and look at them, and we will today. I'm going to show this to you. And an example would be a print statement. The print statement is in the Python standard library. So let's talk about the print method. We will review what methods are further in this tutorial, but for right now, we're just going to refer methods as algorithms that are built into the Python standard library to perform a certain task. Print is a built-in method located in the Python standard library. That's a bit redundant, right? When using the print method, we must use parentheses to get the return value of the method. Otherwise, we're going to get a reference to the method. So more on that later. Just understand that you must put those parentheses at the end of that statement, or else you're going to get some weird response. So the syntax follows as print, parentheses, quotation marks to indicate a string data type, hello world. So let's talk a little bit more about the print syntax. So if we do hello plus world inside the print, we're going to get hello world without a space in between. However, if we add a comma, whatever is separated by the comma will automatically be appended a white space, or just a normal space, however you want to refer it to. As print statements will, with variables, they follow basically anything just as above. X equals 10. Print the value of x is comma x. It's going to be 10 because we know we declared x is 10. So let's go ahead and start to code this. So what I want you to do, and I'm not going to walk you through this because I have expectations. I want you to go and download Python. I want you to find yourself a nice little directory to put your files in, or you can put it on your desktop. I hate doing that, so I'm not going to do that. So I created me a little directory for our projects throughout the series. I went ahead and named this PyPrint because we're going to be talking about the print statement a lot. And like I said before with the IDE, I want you to use idle. And the reason is because this thing does not like to autocomplete for you. Not necessarily autocomplete, but it doesn't give you a cheat sheet. It's not going to sit here and really help you out too much as maybe PyCharm. PyCharm, it tells you a lot about syntax, and I want you to focus on syntax when you're programming so it becomes second nature to you. Okay, so once you have Python installed and you started up idle, you have your nice little directory that I suggested. Get your files started up, and let's go ahead and start coding. What I did here is I made 3 variables, all string values, and I'm going to show you how we're going to use the print statement. So firstly, you call print. Okay, this right here is the method that we're calling from the Python standard library. I went ahead and pulled this up for you. So this is PyCharm. This is another IDE. I don't want you to use this because it's not going to really help you too much with syntax. Using idle is going to help you a lot better with syntax. So we have the print method. I don't want to go over this. I just wanted to show you that we're calling this code from somewhere else. Okay? I want to get you to understand that we have access to all of this code right here, and we can call all of this code if we want. So this is a very important concept, that we're calling this code from a library that we can't actually see. So we have this print method. And like I was referring to earlier, if we go ahead and execute this. Oh, and by the way, I want to point out my idles are going to look a lot different than yours. Yours is probably going to look white. I just installed a certain theme to it. If you guys want to know more about themes, Google it. It's not hard to understand. So whenever we execute this, and I like to execute by hitting F5. I can't stand when people go up here and keep clicking this. You can just simply hit F5 to execute. So when you execute, nothing happens. Okay? You're not getting a return value. What happens is it's trying to refer to this method. So if I actually print without the parentheses inside, and we run this, we're going to get a built-in function print. Okay? So that's why it's important to put these parentheses in here. However, we didn't get anything upon execution because nothing's been passed in here. We have to pass arguments. So arguments go in parameters. So x is an argument. X is a reference type to a string A because we declared this. So if I did x plus y plus z, these are all of our variables. We're going to add these together and then get ABC. This is called string concatenation. It's whenever you manipulate strings in a way to get a desired output by adding them together. So, but what if I wanted a space in between them as referenced in the slides? You simply put a comma here. Okay? So now we get a space. So let's print x plus y plus z. And we have x comma y comma z. Now we see that one is spaced, one's not spaced. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you about comments. We use the pound symbol to initiate comments. I'm going to go ahead and comment this as no spaces, and below spaces due to due to the commas. Okay, so now let's talk more about, actually no, let's do a couple more demonstrations. So I want to show you the procedural part of this program. If we do x equals 5, and I print x plus y plus z, what do you think will happen? Well, let's think. We're trying to add two different data types. Let's see if this will actually work. Well, we know that didn't work because we got an error. The error suggests that, well, let's go ahead and talk about errors. So the error is going to give you a traceback, and it's going to tell you where the error occurred. This is very useful for programmers because, one second. It's very useful because when you have a lot of code to analyze and something occurs that's wrong, you're going to want to trace back, because if it's a logic error and you don't know the location, like I was saying before, it really sucks. So, and it also tells you the type of error. And this is a type error. Unsupported operand types for plus, that means addition, for int and string. So that this is saying you can't add an integer value and a string value. And we change the string value to an integer value down here, even though it's the same variable. So understand that. So what we can do instead is do maybe this. That works fine, because we can add strings, but we can't add an integer to a string. Okay, pretty easy, right? Okay, so let's change x back to a so I can demonstrate something else. We also have a thing called sep. It's short for separation. So if we did x, y, z, and then another comma, sep equals space, you see nothing has changed in here. That's because I added the separation as a space, but if I took that space out and saved this file then ran it, then look what happens. Even though I have a comma, the separation is not being formatted as spaces in between. Instead, we're actually formatting the print statement to not include separations. But what do you think would happen if I added these together into the into the separation, let's take a look. Well, nothing happens. Is that because there's no space here? Absolutely not. Because we're adding these together. See, the separation command only works if they're separated by a comma. And it doesn't have to be a space. It can be something like this. You can put whatever you want, any string in here. If I wanted to, I could write XYZ. Oops. And then we get A, XYZ, B, XYZ, C. Okay, you can separate whatever you want as long as it's in the string. And if I wanted to, you can remove the spaces. This is actually very useful. So if we use, there's another one called end, and this is default. Do I still have PyCharm up? As you can see, end is default as this weird little character right here. It's a \n. This means new line. Whoops. This means new line. So if we go down here and we print hello, let's do exclamation mark. Let's have some fun. We get hello on a new line, just like all of these. All of these are on a new line because the default setting for the end is a new line. What if I did a space? Well, it doesn't indent anymore, or not. It doesn't add to a new line. Instead, it adds a space. And it doesn't matter what you put in here. This can be anything. So it's that simple. So you just learned about the separation and the end argument. These are arguments also because they're inside the parameters. These are all arguments. X, Y, Z, sep, and end are all arguments for the print method. So now that we've taken a look at that, let's just have some fun. Now, the common tradition for programming is before all of this was I was supposed to come in here, type in hello world. That's common tradition for programming. However, I'm not going to do a common tutorial. We're going to dive right into this stuff, okay? So let's go back. We understood the separation and method, or not method, I'm sorry, arguments. So I want you to go ahead and start playing with this, but I also want to show you some new data types. So let's do my bool equals true, okay? And let's do my bool 2 equals false, okay? Let's go ahead and print my Boolean value number 1 and type in my bool, and then print out. But let's go ahead and utilize this end statement, and let's add a space in between it. Why not? And then we'll print my Boolean value number 2. And then we'll do 2. And I'm sorry if I'm typing slow or talking weird. I didn't get much sleep last night. I got about 2 hours of sleep last night, so bear with me here. Oh, we don't have to worry about the end on this, but instead let's do let's also let's utilize the separation also. Why not? So let's go ahead and just do a little arrow. Okay, I'm just gonna copy. Actually, as a matter of fact, no, I'll just copy this, paste this in here, add a comma. So it's getting a little messy. Let's see what happens. So my Boolean value number 1 is true. My Boolean value number 2 is false. So you can see we can kind of manipulate these print statements simply just by adding certain strings in here. There's not really too much to this print. I'm not going to make this video too long. It doesn't matter if you're referencing a variable or not. Let's do 5 plus, let's set x equal to 10 down here. And note that originally x was a, then x turned into 5. And we can still see when we run the code, x is still 5 when we print this. It doesn't universally change x once we declare at the bottom. In fact, it changes x as we procedurally go through the code top to bottom. Okay? Make sure you're noting this. So print 5 plus x, well, we change x to 10, so when we print this, we're going to get 15. And then we can just have some fun and add, I'm sorry, why did I add print? Like I said, I'm tired. We can say 5 plus x equals, comma 5 plus x, run this, 5 plus x equals 15. See, we can just manipulate print statements left and right. It's really not that hard, especially with these separation and end arguments. They help out a lot. Let's see what else we can do. Let's, and it doesn't, or as I demonstrated, it doesn't matter. You don't have to reference a variable in these. You can do whatever you want. You can do 100 plus 2000, run that, and you get 2100. Doesn't matter what you put in here. So let's do that hello plus world example to show you that it's going to come out. I mean, we already went over this. Really, we're just going to be going in loops here. There's not really too much else to touch base on the print statement. I just wanted to get you familiar with how a little bit on the procedural programming part, to where if we change a variable, a reference type, to a different data type, it's going to change procedurally throughout the program. Up here, x is still a. Here, x is still 5. Here, x is a. Make sure you pay attention to that. We're changing this x throughout the program. Trying to think of anything else. Let's play with characters. So let's say C1 equals H, C2 equals, and I'm just going to go through here and just paste, and I'll just do 3, 4, 5, and then we'll do E, L, oh gosh, I'm very tired, guys, and then O. So we got these different characters here, and say if I wanted to print this, do C1 plus C2 plus C3 plus C4 plus, oh gosh. So this is taking characters and making them into a string. So we got hello again. So that's what I meant about characters. Characters are individual letters, and strings are a sequence of characters. However, when we look at this, it looks disgusting. So let's think of a way that we can perhaps rearrange this. So let's do C1. Well, let's not think of a way. I'll tell you a way. You can declare variables on the same line. So if I did C1, comma C2, comma C3, comma C4, comma C5, all being equal to H, comma, because we have to use these commas to correlate them with our variables on the left side. So if I didn't put a comma here, we probably would have got a syntax error if I did that, because the new quotation marks. C2 H. I said H. Wow, that's how you know I'm tired. I'm sorry, guys. And then O. This looks a bit more clean, right? As opposed to this right here, this nonsense. Let's go ahead and see if we can print this out. Look at that. It works flawlessly. So you can manipulate variables like that just by simply adding these commas in between. I'm not sure how long this video is going, but I think we're going to go ahead and cut it off here. It's probably a very long video. I hope you guys have an understanding of print statements, how procedural programming works with like respect to changing variables throughout the program. We went over separations, end statement or end arguments, touched base on some data types. I say this is an overall progressive video. We looked at the Python standard library, which is right here. we have access to all these methods in here. And yeah, that's it. I think I'm going to cut you guys loose. Sorry if this was a long tutorial. I'm assuming it's actually a very long tutorial. I'll cut out a lot. Okay, you guys take care.